You were listening to episode 172 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we point, click, and slapstick our way through a magic adventure in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
So this week, we kept on our word and decided to play a little bit of Discworld on the PlayStation 1. So we had John Rue on a couple weeks ago from the Retro Rue Room, talked about this, and was like, we got to play this, dude.
And what a word it was. Many words.
Many words. It's good, though. So we'll chat about that in our Inflation Deflation segment at the bottom of the episode. But first, let's talk a little bit pickups and currently playing. So,
John, I'm going first this week.
You're going to take too much time. I'll be fast.
Elden Ring is out. Do
right.
you have your copy?
No.
I do.
So my copy is in the mail still and being delivered by GameStop. And I'm probably not going to get the special edition ring, which means I got to go in and get my damn ring as well. And they messed up my order. So I got to just stop ordering from them online, dude.
Gosh.
So I paid with PayPal, and they're like, oh, well, PayPal just has issues. It just doesn't process payment. So what ends up happening is the order gets held. I'm like, you guys didn't think to like maybe save this on your website? Like if you're doing a pre-order with PayPal, this could potentially happen. So I always do it for the extra protection, obviously. But yeah, so I had to reorder through my credit card anyways, which means giving my credit card number over the phone to some employee at GameStop, which I don't really like to do to begin with. And now it's supposed to be Monday that it arrives. And with my luck, collector's edition box will have damage and other stuff on it, just because that's my luck. And I still don't have a PlayStation 5, so I won't be able to play it till I have a PS5, unfortunately. Who knows when that'll be? So keeping my eyes peeled. I'm hoping for that Amazon PS5 release
Poor tarnished.
to happen. Like with my luck, it'll have taken place while we record. So that's why I'm going to look like literally right now. But let me just quickly go through my pickups because you're going to take a long time on Elden Ring, and I won't be able to bring up anything because we're going to go like an hour in just on pickups, dude. So I will quickly say that I picked up some more Magic cards. I'm going to be playing a mono red burn deck in Standard.
That's fun.
So I got a couple Chandras picked up. I got some Den of the Bugbears. And the rest of it's just like little 1-drop and 2-drop creatures just ping you constantly. And a couple big flyers at the end that I can use. Still waiting for everything to come in, but pretty sure it'll be good. And then also I tied for first this week in a Magic tournament. So
Nice.
One of the guys that plays out there, I told him like, dude, I don't want to play my mono green this week. I'm like, I just want to play something different. He's like, I'll loan you my deck if you want. The one that I played with last week, and he had a new deck he was trying out. I said, okay, cool. So played his deck, and we actually faced off in the end against each other. So I was like, do you want to just split first? Because we only had 6 players, and all of the prize was going to first place. So I was like, let's just split it. We'll both get $15 in-store credit and a promo card, and we're good to go. So we did that. So that was my pickups, and then currently still playing some Pokemon, and I am, let's see, I just quelled Voltorb. So, yeah, is it Voltorb? No. Electrode, not Voltorb. I always mix those up. I'm confused because, like, in the Electrode battle, Voltorbs are flying out from Electrode, and they're blowing up constantly, so I'm, like, seeing Voltorb constantly. And then there was a bunch of Voltorb leading to it. And I got through it so quick. I was half asleep as I was playing it. You know how I am where I fall asleep while playing. So that was happening. But I ended up...
Still really happy?
Yeah, I like it. It's pretty good. So I'm in the 4th area right now. And then going into the 5th. I'm just going to... At this point, like, I was considering, let me capture all the Pokemon, complete the full Pokedex, get Arceus and all that stuff, or Arceus. And I'm just like, I just want to complete the game at this point. Not that I don't like it. It's just I'm looking at time and what I need to complete to get to my New Games resolution. I'm like, I just got to pick it up and go. And then I got a lot of travel and stuff coming up in the next few months. So that doesn't help the situation.
Yeah.
So I gotta start considering like when I'm out of town and what's happening and all of that. So yeah. All right. Well, that's it for me, dude.
Well, Arceus is a game you could take with you.
It is, but if I'm on business trips and doing stuff like that, I don't have time, unfortunately. So my time usually is once I'm done with whatever I'm doing, I just go to my room and watch South Park and go to sleep.
There you go.
Yeah, it's usually what happens. All right, talk Elden Ring. I need to hear your thoughts.
That Mega Man.
I mentioned that last week, I thought.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Monster Viator and the Mega Man Willy Wars or whatever.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just saw it this week. It was
Yeah,
nice.
you saw it this week. I didn't show you last week. I forgot to.
Elden Ring. I got Elden Ring. I preloaded it, and it was a nightmare watching it be on my Xbox, and I would click it, and it'd be like, no, you're too soon. And I knew that it wasn't going to be available until 10 p.m., but I kept trying.
Yeah.
So, you know, with times being what they are, I went to bed like a good boy at a reasonable hour, and then I woke up at 3:30 and started playing.
3:30 in the morning, really?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I didn't intend to do that. I just woke up and I was like, oh, it's Elden Ring Day. And so I just got up and started playing instead.
Elden Ring Day.
Yeah,
It's a new national holiday.
It's really awesome. I probably put like 6 or 7 hours in or more, maybe, I don't know, on my first day. I started as the bandit class. I got up to level 22. I explored a bunch of the map. I mean, I hadn't been completely avoiding spoilers. For the most part, I only know stuff about the first area. So I felt like I knew a little bit more, and I was able to, explore, do a lot. I didn't fight like any of the main bosses yet because it's so intimidating. Like, I had started playing Dark Souls 2 the day before to get ready for this, to get back in that mindset. And I was playing like a dual sword user, and then I was having a really hard time. So I switched over to magic because I've never really tried magic in any of the Souls games before. And it was like so much easier. Like, I was just like rolling through Dark Souls 2 on that guy. And I was like, okay, I know there's going to be a lot more magic in Elden Ring. And by the time I was level 22, and I was like, the bandit starts with like a knife and not great armor and a bow. And I was having a really good time, but it just wasn't what I wanted. Like, I really wanted to get a lance. And I really wanted to get, just something else. Like, I wasn't super comfortable with my character and my playstyle. I wanted magic. I only had like one spell, but I needed to be like level 18 and int to get it. And so by the time I grinded that stat out, I was just like, man, now if I finally got the lance, I'm going to need 8 more levels in strength to be able to use that. That's going to take me forever, hitting my head against the wall. So I started over. Day 2, restart. As the prisoner class, I went through, I looked at the numbers, and boom, dude, I caught up to where I was in maybe like 3.5 hours because I knew all the places that I needed to go to get all the gear that I needed. I, already kind of knew how to fight the bosses. I started off with a really good weapon and magic. And the summons make it really easy. Like, this is definitely the easiest Souls game that I've played. There's so much that you can do to help yourself out. And also, it's one of those things where they didn't add an easy mode. They just made it so, like, you've always been able to, like, summon a, spirit NPC to help you fight a boss, or a real human ally to help you fight a boss. And that makes it way easier. So on top of that, you also can summon these like smaller spirit summons that are like a pack of wolves or a couple knights or a jellyfish or whatever. And they're like enemies that are out in the world. You can only summon them for tougher fights, but not exclusively like, touch the mist and go into the boss room fights. You could do it more often than that. And those just make a lot of fights easier. So like if you have that, and you have the NPC summon or ally summon, now you've got like a whole gang of you fighting the boss. So I've been doing that to cheese through things because like I'm just not super interested in banging my head against the wall right now. And I'm having a really good time. Like, I got a katana. I got a couple spells now. I did beat Godric, who's like the first really big boss. Like, you would consider him like one of like the lords from like the other games kind of level. So I'll be starting to move on to other areas now and start to really open up and see more of the game that I haven't yet. So I'm really excited to do more of that. So I may have even put the cart before the horse with this one, Because on top of getting Elden Ring and playing Elden Ring, I beat Dante's Inferno.
Oh, nice.
Inflation, deflation,
No,
coming
dude.
soon on that maybe. You know,
Okay.
I'll talk more about that in depth maybe next week, I guess.
This is the first time you knocked out
Yeah.
your new games resolution
New
before
games
me.
resolution done, son.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so
I haven't even started mine.
I know it feels really good to have it out of the way. I'll talk a little bit more about it. You know, I think maybe next week I'll do like a full little thing on it.
Full-blown review.
But it was really fun. By the end of it, the one thing that I will say, I want to amend what I talked about with the game last time. I didn't realize that I was playing on a harder difficulty.
I think you mentioned that.
Did I?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did.
Okay, because I didn't realize I was playing on like a harder difficulty, and then like once I toned the difficulty down, it didn't feel like I was just like having to hit enemies forever. Like I only turned it down to beat Lucifer, the last boss, because it was just so hard. And I had to do that in like God of War. Like in the first God of War, I could not beat like the big fight where you get all giant, you've got the sword and you're like wrestling the health back and forth. I just couldn't do it. So it's like I have no problems toning down like a final boss just to beat off the game. And it was in the end, I think there was a lot of choices that I made that made the game not as good as it could have been. So I think I was kind of shorting it before.
Well, it's good to hear you beat it.
Yeah.
I got to get started on some, Majora's Mask here and Ocarina of Time. So, but dude, I'm excited to hear more about that game for sure. I know my wife played it not too long ago. She beat it, definitely enjoyed it. I know you were having kind of a tough time when I think it was last week, you had mentioned it just wasn't like as engaging as like a God of War for you. And
I think a lot of that was my fault. Cause like I'll just talk about it now. There's two trees in it. There's like the evil tree and the good tree. And I was focusing all my energies on just leveling up the good tree. And I ignored some of the things that are at the bottom. There's like a 0 level where you don't have to do a bunch of bad stuff to get bad points to be able to invest in the tree. You can have a level 0. And a lot of that was like, oh, here's a follow-up strong attack. The whole game I've been going through, and I don't have a combo for my strong attack button. It's just the same attack over and over. So that was my fault. Like, I made the game redundant and repetitive and my own attacks less effective by ignoring reading those options and not selecting them.
Yeah.
And waiting forever to get other things. So it's like, some of that was definitely my fault. And like I said, I was playing on a harder difficulty without realizing it. So it's like, I would not have had a lot of the trouble that, I was having had I realized or remembered that I had set that difficulty up. So in retrospect, it was much better. I definitely think that it was worth my time going back to. I do think that, there is a reason that we don't have more of these. I think God of War is still way better. I think that the story was kind of the weakest part for me. Like, your guy that you're playing is like a total asshole character. Like, he's not a good person. So it's kind of hard to like Kratos is not a good person, but he's like the anti-hero of the story, and you still are like, yeah, go Kratos. And this guy, it's just like, dude, you suck. Like, you did all this horrible stuff. Like, why am I helping you fight your way through hell?
Yeah.
And it's just like the other characters just aren't really good. Like, the bad guy in this game is like the devil. And
I would hope so. He's in hell.
Yeah, he's doing like, I don't know, he's tempting you and he's like seducing your woman and doing evil stuff, but he's not like
the devil should.
Well, like Ares had like personality and stuff,
yeah.
and you didn't even see, he wasn't even like in the game too much, but like he was a much better bad guy. This guy's just very generic and uninteresting, and none of the other characters really have like as much. Like, there's this part where you fight your sister's or your wife's brother that you betrayed because when you went berserk and killed like all of the people during the crusade and like the lords came by and they were like, who did this? Because like you went on like a blood bath and your brother's like, it was me. And
it sounds like Jerry Springer in video games.
Yeah, so like the brother like stands up for you so you don't get condemned for it. So he goes to hell and then you're fighting your way through hell to rescue his sister and you have to fight him. And it's like, what's going on here? Like, I betrayed him and now I have to kill him so that I can save his sister. And it's like, there's not like a good moral stance, or there's not like, it doesn't make sense. Like, there's nobody to root for.
Gotcha.
So like, I would rather that the brother kill me and I get stopped. Like, trying to get past him again is kind of like, I don't know, what am I doing here?
So it falls flat in a way.
Yeah, it's hard to describe. I don't have good words for it.
So basically, if somebody
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10, is it worth buying at its rate? I think it's like $10.
It's worth Game Passing. If you have Game Pass it. Okay. I don't think I would buy it. I would buy whatever the cheapest God of War game is
and play that.
If you haven't played the God of War on the PSP, it's good. Download that. I'm sure you could probably download that for $10 on something.
That, or just pick up the God of War like Unchained collection or whatever it is on PS3. Mm-hmm. So taking a really quick step back to Elden Ring, though, would you recommend that somebody buys this right now or wait? 100%.
100%.
Okay.
This is.
What's your favorite part about it so far?
The parts where I play it are my favorite. I was thinking about this on the way in. So like, Horizon Forbidden West just came out. People love that. God of War is supposed to come out later this year, pending any last minute delays. People are going to love that. Elden Ring's out. Dude, it's going to be a hot game of the year contender this year.
Oh, it'll win. Like, there's no way it doesn't.
I mean, people are saying that this might be the best game ever. And I think that it's got a lot of merit. The visuals are like stunning. Like, I was thinking about it, like as interconnected as the world of any of the Dark Souls games is, in this game, like the fact that like I know that I could be like, I'm in Stormveil Castle right now, and I can just go from like where I am all the way at the top there, like run all the way through the castle, down the mountain, down the cliffside, past the storm giants, through the gully, through like the knight's camp, all the way down to the lake, all the way down through the forest. And it's like this huge expanse. And it's like, that's literally just the first map, just the starting area.
So bad.
Like the immenseness. I can't wait to see where these other parts are going to take me to, and see like I looked at, after I beat that first lord, I went back to basically like the equivalent of like Firelink Shrine.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, well, here's all these other lords now. And it's like, oh my God, there's like 7 of these guys that I have to fight.
Nice.
And there's like so much more. Cause like, I feel like Breath of the Wild moment, you know, for this. Like, I really think that there's a lot in common between like the Souls and Zelda. I mean, it's kind of like grown up Zelda in a lot of ways, you know, they're very similar in those senses where like old Zelda was like, you were in Hyrule Field and everything was connected and you could go from place to place.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, you would never call it an open world. Same way with the old Dark Souls. Like, you'd never call those open world, even though everything's all connected by ladders and swooping paths and stuff. But you get that same feeling like you do with Breath of the Wild. But instead of like in Breath of the Wild, where eventually I hit that wall where it was like, okay, there's just like these 4 temples that I gotta go in, and they're basically all kind of the same thing. Mm-hmm. You know, it has so much more deep diversity in this game.
Yeah.
Like, I've already been like kidnapped and taken to this like weird underground crystal mine where there's these like big centipede people running around and everything one-shot me, so I needed to sneak my way out to get to the surface, and I was in this totally like alien-looking place to the whole rest of the world. And eventually I ran back to like the starting area where I was supposed to be in. And it's like, there's also the difference in this game where like every Souls game has had somebody who's like, oh, I just beat the whole game level 1 naked using only my fists and took no damage.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a speed run out there for back-to-backing every Souls game without dying.
Damn.
And people have done it. Multiple people have done it.
Yeah.
And they compete for times on this, playing every Souls game in a row without dying once and killing everything.
I could not do that.
It's crazy. So, like, Souls games are fair in that way. Like, if you can play the game, you can go anywhere and beat anything, and the gear is not a restriction. Those are just ways to make the game easier for you. So, you get intimidated because it's such a big world and they don't give you much more direction than they did in other Souls games. Like at your bonfires, there will be like a little arrow on your map that kind of points a general direction from there. And then if you hit another bonfire, it'll give you kind of another arrow with a general direction. But it's like, I know I have to go up to the castle.
Yeah.
Like they're just pointing generally toward the castle. They're not giving me any more specific direction than that.
I wonder if you could turn that off.
You probably can, but I mean, either way, it's not going to give you any real, like you're going to go to that place eventually anyways playing the game.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's so many options for like crafting things, summoning things, ways to get around those obstacles. And then the fact that if you're just get good, you can get around anything anyways.
Yeah.
That it's like, I find myself being more hesitant to go places because it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be like the right level, but ultimately it doesn't matter. No. So it's like, I'm really excited for where I'm going to go next because I finally finished the starting area. And I'm wondering to myself, like, what if I just got on my horse and rode all the way through the next 2 areas and just got to the 4th area and just started playing again there or something crazy? Like, theoretically, I should be able to do that. I don't need like an HM1 cut to get through some tunnel or something. I just need to get there without dying and find a save point and then start fighting.
Some of the Souls games, you need like keys and stuff to get behind certain doors or like, you know, not necessarily spells or anything, but yeah, at least in the Souls games in the past, like, oh, I can't get behind this door because I need a key. There's ways to sometimes sneak around into various areas, but yeah, usually there's some sort of barrier sometimes when it comes to like critical story component areas, which could in fact be like that 4th area or 5th area, whatever it may be. But yeah, it sounds like a good time, man. I'm looking forward to it. Once I get my copy, I think I'll do like a small unboxing video, you know, and put it on our Twitter and whatnot, cool. and kind of go from there. And then hopefully I can get a PS5 and play the damn game. Right. But I still have those 2 new games resolutions I got to do as well. So, oh man,
I would advise you get those done
honestly,
before Elden Ring comes, because
before PS5 comes.
Before PS5 comes, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to end up having to do is just.
You need a clear schedule.
Yeah, I need to. So I'm thinking tonight, if I have a chance, I'm going to maybe blaze through Pokemon, honestly, because I like most of my stuff's like level 50 plus, so I should be able to go through it pretty fast.
How far do you think you are in the game?
I don't think I have much longer to go.
Okay.
To be honest. So we'll see. I'm probably about 20 hours in, and I would guess the game's maybe 30 hours total. Hold on, let's just look it up. Because I don't think it's that long of a game, to be honest. So we'll say how long to beat.
I know, I'm
Pokemon.
still...
Go on.
So that's like the one thing. Like, so my first playthrough with all the wonderment and exploring of the world, it took me like, you know, maybe 10 hours. And now I'm like maybe 5 hours in on the second character. And I'm already further than that. People are saying they've been playing this game for like 60 plus hours and still aren't done with all the main bosses.
So wait, 60 hours?
But it's like, that's the thing. Like, I've done more than 11 hours worth of work compared to my first playthrough in less than half the time.
Gotcha.
Because I'm not measuring all of that wonderment and exploration. I know where to go. I immediately was like, if I run here, I can get a really good weapon, and then I can go here, and I can get this. And it's like all that stuff. I had way more gear and stuff by the time I got there, and I'm just blowing through it because I started with magic and a sword that is way better than the little knife that the bandit has.
Yeah.
So like what took me forever to do with a little knife and a lot of planning, I can just cast spells and stab people.
True. Well, so looking at Arceus here, or Arceus, 23 and a half hours is the main story. So I should have it beat here.
You'll be done tonight.
Yeah, I should have it beat pretty soon. Okay. So this week, well, first off, you can find this podcast episode on all of your favorite podcast applications out there, including the one you're listening to now, and leave us a review. Always nice to get those reviews. 6 stars if you can, but 5 is acceptable. You can also find us on thegamedeflators.com, as well as social media at Game Deflators on Twitter, which I tend to be a lot more frequent on nowadays, and then at The Game Deflators on Instagram and Facebook. So you can see all the cool pictures we have on all of those, actually.
John takes nice pictures.
I actually do take nice pictures. And then I take pictures from other places.
Do you have one of those little revolving...
I don't, but yeah, it'd be nice to do one in my game room. It'd be pretty sick.
And
then,
Shopping Network.
As far as this week's articles are concerned, we're going to talk about Valve and their interest in putting Game Pass on Steam. We're going to talk about the talks of really a price increase on Xbox Game Pass, and then PlayStation's Project Spartacus and what's going on with that, which is pretty much the answer to Game Pass. So to start this one out, Ryan, if you want to go ahead and kick us off with the article names and such.
All right. So Valve more than happy to help Microsoft bring PC games to Game Pass to Steam. Bring PC Game Pass to Steam. Sorry, I read that weird. That's by Tom Warren at The Verge. And I dig this. So I have friends that are Steam people and PC gamers and don't really have consoles to play with on. And I've told them several times, I'm like, hey, if you get this game, we can play together. Or like, hey, dude, I just got this awesome game on Game Pass. You know, it's like $10 a month. You should check it out. And they refuse because all their stuff's on Steam. They would rather pay $30 for this game, $30 for that game, $20 for that game on a game that they're going to play in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, most, beat it, and then never go back and play it again.
Versus Game Pass.
Game Pass, they could have...
Yeah.
All 3 of the games that I recommended to them that they really liked, they could already have beaten all of those and only spent, $20.
Can you remind me, which version of Game Pass are you doing right now? Do you have like the ultimate
I
setup?
have the ultimate one, okay. Yeah, which is $15.
Yeah, because I think the console only is like $7.99 or something.
The PC.
PC only is $7. I thought console
because they have less games.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I think that if you got it onto Steam as a part of that, people would be more inclined because people just are not wanting multiple launchers. People just don't like loading up their games from different places on their computer because they're so devoted to their Steam library. Also, I mean, gosh, this would be a really good way to be able to play like Game Pass on like a Steam Deck would be really cool. If it's going to be available through Steam, you can market a lot of this stuff through there, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it would bring a lot of value as far as, being able to find it on Steam. The one thing I did remember reading when I checked this article out in particular is the questions around like Steam sales, right? So, if Game Pass is on here and you're looking to download Game Pass and you have like that discounted rate, my assumption is it would just stay as is. They would never have some sort of sale on Steam for this unless Valve worked it out where it was like, hey, we've got Game Pass on our library here for people who have the ability to get it. Are you willing to discount it like the first month free or something like that? I don't know. There's a lot of things on the back end.
They do deals all the time where it's like you can do like Game Pass for like $5 for your first month or whatever. But they also were talking like, of the sales because Steam takes like a 30% cut of all sales.
That's true.
Well, the thing is on PC right now, if you're paying $7.99 for the Game Pass on PC, but they're talking, we'll talk in the next article about a possible price hike for Game Pass. So if price is going to go up anyways, if you just instead have the $10.99 as the pricing, you can basically just still make the same amount you were before. Steam gets their cut, and everything basically stays the same in Microsoft's eyes, and they're getting more exposure. Like, I think that, even once they do a price increase, like, there's just such a good deal in Game Pass that the amount of money that Microsoft makes is less than like what they get from the exposure for it, increasing the numbers, evangelizing more people. And like, even if they have to do it for not as much profit, like getting it onto Game Pass or onto Steam where, it'll be on the front page and, all of those new people that want access to those games and realize how much money they can save to Steam. Like, that's the one thing. It's like, it's going to dig into the profits for those people. Like, I'm sure that, I like Nobody Saves the World. It was really great. Would I have bought it for $30 on Steam? No. But if it is on Game Pass and it's on Steam, then, even though my friend paid $30, like, nobody else is going to at that point. So is that going to ultimately mean less money for those developers that are putting their stuff on Steam? Because now they're having to, go through Microsoft, and then Microsoft is having to go through Steam. So you're adding just more layers to the transaction.
I do question as well, like, if Microsoft pursues some sort of partnership with Valve specifically around this, do they come back and say, hey, we want to put Game Pass on Steam, but we don't want you to take a cut. So how about you put Steam on Xbox, as an application that you can access titles and, I don't know, stream it on there somehow. I'm curious if there's things that can happen down the road. And this generation is, I think, going to surprise us in many ways over the next 5 years or so. I would love to see something like that. Mm-hmm. Like different partnerships between different companies. I mean, hell, Sony could come through and say, hey, we're going to have our new PlayStation Spartacus, subscription. Yeah, we'll throw it onto PC. We'll throw it onto Xbox. That's an option for you now. I would love to see that type of stuff moving forward. And it just kind of comes down to, in a sense, what we already have with PC, right? Like, based on the hardware you buy, you can go anywhere. You can buy whatever type of GPU you want. Well, I mean, not really, because they're not for sale right now for the most part. But, you can buy whatever RAM you want. You can customize your PC however it needs to be. And then in the same way, consoles could be potentially agnostic in that, if you want to play older PlayStation games that are part of this PlayStation Spartacus, I'm just using a code name to use it, or you want to play Game Pass, like, you don't have to have a specific console. You can just play it on any console. So I could see this type of stuff evolving into those partnerships down the road. And it might honestly just become a must, moving forward. I think Microsoft's really going to be the one that dictates how that happens. And then as far as, the pricing is concerned, if we jump into this next article here, Xbox Boss, I hate when they say Xbox Boss because like a tongue twister.
Xbox Boss?
Yeah, Xbox Boss. Comments on possible Xbox Game Pass price increase, and this is Tyler Fisher at comicbook.com. So long story short on here, don't expect a price increase anytime soon, basically. So that's per Spencer on this. And I'm questioning that because, even maybe it's because there's a lot of negativity from like companies like Netflix, for example, boosting their price again. I think they do it like once every year. It seems they boost up $1, and you have all these crazy price subscription services. Whereas Microsoft seems to be, in a pretty good spot. I mean, you got your PC only, you got your console only, and then you got your Ultimate along with, everything that comes from that. And I want to say they incorporate gold as well into it as part of that price point for some of them at least. And, there's been some speculation that they're going to try to increase their numbers. And if they're to increase the numbers, at that point, they could lay it out and be like, all right, we're doing a price increase. Yeah. And I think that's going to be inevitable down the road anyways, just because
you got to get more people hooked before you jack up the price.
Yeah, but even so, it sounds like that's not the plan based on the commentary they've had. But then again, they could just be saying that right now to avoid that issue down the road, right? Of people not signing up knowing, oh, it's going to go up. I guess I would question how much is it going to go up, on an annual basis, because it will. Based on the number of acquisitions they've got, based on the amount of money they're putting into games, they're not stupid. Well, Microsoft is going to boost it up at some point.
Yeah, so $15 a month, that's like $180 a year.
Yeah.
I mean, if you break that down, it was easier math before the new gen launched. So we'll just go with last gen. We'll say $60 a game.
Yep.
So that's 3 games. So for the price of 3 games a year, you get access to hundreds of titles. You get access to at least 3 day one titles a year. So Halo, Forza, pick one other Xbox game that comes out this year. Any of those make up for that. So if they jack it up, obviously everything probably only goes in $5 increments, I would think.
Yeah.
So $20, $240 a year, 4 games. So I would do that. I'd do $20 a month. I'd still get at least 4 games worth out of it a year, as long as they're giving. Starfield, that's coming out later this year. Starfield, day one, basically free for having Game Pass. Like, that's so much more worth it, especially because, I think that there's going to be more of an effort with these types of games to have exceptional releases, even though they are kind of protected from that. Like, you would think that if the game's going to be free, that you would want to have it as polished as possible, because people who will bounce off of it just won't come back. Whereas if you pay $60 for a game and it's buggy, like, you already paid the $60 for that, you might as well come back once it's fixed up,
Yeah.
Like, have I bought Cyberpunk before? I might be going back and checking it out now that it's all, got a bunch of updates and it's in a much better place to play. But, had I just tried it, I'd be like, I don't know, man. Like, it wasn't really all that good.
Well, and I wonder, where they can kind of make up for it financially with like advertisements and such too. Not saying like video ads before you play a game or anything, but they theoretically could. They could say, hey, it's $15 a month.
Don't tell them that they can give us ads, John.
Dude, come on, man. Marketing background here. So when you consider that, imagine like you boot up your Xbox Game Pass and just before you start playing, they play like a 15-second advertisement. If that's a way to keep that cost down, because they could say, you know what, it's going to be $20 a month, but if you want to stay at $15 a month, there's going to be some ads.
That's all I want is my Elden Ring loading screen, brought to you by Mountain Dew.
Honestly, I would rather, instead of seeing the little like tick, 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 I would rather just have like 30 seconds of that load time be a Mountain Dew commercial, and then when it's done, like, cool, Elden Ring, like, I'm good.
That is the one thing. I guess I'll backtrack real quick. Elden Ring does have loading time.
Which is fine.
It is.
And I'm not saying they would do it in the game. I'm saying before it starts.
It's dramatically less than Dark Souls 2. Yep. So I'm happy about that.
But that's a way that a company like Xbox could keep that cost down for the consumer, and then, of course, still make additional revenue, is through advertisements, obviously. And that's how a lot of the world works nowadays anyways, as far as like on a digital basis and no subscriptions. Hulu still does ads if you want the cheap version.
Is there a way that I can buy NFTs to bypass the ads so that I can get to my loot boxes faster?
Barry Carens is cringing right now in New Jersey when he heard NFT. So, no, that's a trend that ends, sir. We don't need more NFTs.
If you hear this, I will be on the Nintendo Fuse podcast tomorrow night, which would be tonight if this releases tomorrow.
Technically, yeah. So they're live on Mondays.
This early in the day on 2/28, check me out tonight on Nintendo Fuse.
Yeah, I think they have it's a live version.
Live on Twitch 6:30 Mountain Time.
Yep, check out Ryan. He'll be on there chatting games. And then, of course, you can find them on their handles on Twitter and Facebook and such as well. So I don't know if we have anything else to talk about this. It's a price increase. We can't really continue.
Over to the competition.
Yeah, over to competition, right? So classic games will reportedly be a major part of PlayStation's Game Pass rival. And this one is Jordan, is it Midler? My eyesight is so bad, dude, at Video Game Chronicle.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Oh, I actually got that right. What are your thoughts on this? I'll kind of comment off of you.
So, PS Now games are what's going to be basically available for download. They're thinking there's going to be like several different tiers. And that'll be kind of one of the main selling point is playable, downloadable, retro games. So $10 a month for the essential, $13 a month for extra, $16 a month for premium in comparison to Xbox. Now, the really bad part about this is for premium $16 a month, do you get full games? Not really. Kinda, it's like EA Play. You get full game trials. I don't know if that's for every single game that comes out, but it seems like that, Grubb said. So I just think that no matter how many old games are good on PS1, like I went back and looked at the PS Now library and I didn't look at all of it, and I just don't think that for $16 a month, modern gamers want a bunch of old PlayStation games and a couple hour demo of new PlayStation games for $16 a month. Like maybe for older people that are more frugal, don't want to buy all these retro games, want to play them, haven't played them, don't like buying games day one unless they know that they're really going to enjoy them. So they play the demo as either a holdover until those games become cheaper, or as, like, okay, this is worth my time and money. That's just not enough to launch a service on. That's too niche of an audience. Like the fact that they are just so, and I don't know that they've directly said it, but the speculation has been very much that they're not going to put God of War, Horizon, Gran Turismo, those are not going to be free or free to subscribers. Those are going to be full games that everyone will purchase. You don't get maybe you get a discount, but it's stupid to pay monthly to get a discount and some demos and some old games. I don't know what it needs. I don't know what PlayStation needs besides just saying you have to put your first party titles on here. There's just not enough draw.
Well, on top of that, you still have to pay for PlayStation Plus on top of all of that. So
I thought that they would be merging these services, getting rid of PS Now and PlayStation Plus and creating a single.
As far as I just read, I mean, I was looking through it, and yeah, it sounded like you would have to also still have PlayStation Plus on the side. So, I mean, if that's the case, that's not very good.
Oh, so Essential is PS Plus with the monthly games, just like you know it today. So that's going to be the $10.
Yeah, so you're looking at
yeah. You can add on to it for the extra services. So, I mean, I guess if you're adding $6 for the access to the retro games, it works for people that are already on. I don't know. It's a rebranding effort because they're getting so stomped. And it's just not marketable in the way that I think is going to be freshly appealing to people. Like, it's hard to be like, hey, we're rolling out this brand new service. Actually, it's two old services cannibalized into a new thing. Well, that's a hard move to make with an established audience.
Here's the thing. Like, Essential's $10 a month, right? And like I said, it's the same as what we've had for PlayStation Plus all this time. So basically, if it's you're basically just saying, hey, we're going to be doubling the price of PlayStation Plus, and then you're going to get a few bonuses here or there. They're not going to give you every single component of this new Spartacus, right?
I don't feel like I get my money out of PlayStation Plus anymore either. We don't go on there and download them so we can say that we had pickups this week.
I mean, I play them every now and then, but like, there's not enough. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't feel that the value has been there, on a month-to-month basis for PlayStation Plus. I pay about $40 a year because I find discounted codes to do it. So I think right now you can go on. Well, I'm not going to give all my secrets away, right? But there's a few areas that I go to find discounted codes for PlayStation Plus. So I got it like $40 usually, and so I still don't feel like I'm getting my value out of that. It's the equivalent of what, like $3 and something cents a month, and then I don't really need PlayStation Plus to play Apex, which is the only online game I play, Elden Ring, I don't think is online in any capacity right now as it stands, because it's just you have the spirit summons. You don't have any notes,
it's
right?
multiplayer.
They do have multiplayer now. Okay.
Yeah, you can actually.
I could have sworn something wasn't.
You could summon up to like 4 dudes. I think you can have like 4 of you rolling.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't look into it that deep. I've just been wanting to dive into it. But that being said, I mean, I'm not getting my full value right now to PlayStation. I'm not playing the games that I'm downloading for free. I'm basically paying $40 a year for that. And all of a sudden it's going to be, hey, Essentials $10 a month, and you have access to some of these other titles. Plus, it's basically PlayStation Plus as it stands. I mean, you're doubling the cost of PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, because it's only like $60 a year, right?
Yeah, it's $60 a year technically. So I don't know. I mean, I'll have to learn more about this to kind of give like that full assessment on like, do I want to jump into it? Do I not? But another subscription service to me just doesn't seem like something I want to dive into right now. And I think a lot of consumers are going to start having like that subscription service fatigue.
I finally went in and canceled my anime services that I don't listen to anymore or watch anymore.
Did you have Funimation?
No, I used somebody else's code for Funimation.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I need to watch some Dragon Ball Z GT.
Yeah. And then what else did I clean up recently? I got rid of something else too. There's just a couple things. Like the only ones that I really like, even Hulu. Hulu has like a couple things that I like. It's just enough to keep it around because it would be annoying not having it, because I canceled it before and then I miss it. Like HBO only has a couple things. Netflix is like the staple.
Yeah, same.
I need my YouTube Premium so that I can avoid ads. Like I would die with as much YouTube as I watch if I had to deal with ads. So that's for my sanity. I don't have Spotify.
Yeah,
I have the Viz app. The Viz app is probably the best one. It's like $3 a month and you can read all of One Piece. Like, that is the most value to dollar for anything.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of goes into it, right? Like, you just rattled off a ton of subscriptions, and we have them, too, for our house. Not as bad, because we use other people's stuff for some of our things, but...
Like, what are people watching on Paramount Plus?
I don't... South Park?
No, that's just the specials. The new episodes are still on HBO through 2025.
That's why you get your free trial on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. My brother has Paramount Plus for some strange reason. I don't know why, but yeah, you're right. I don't know what people are watching.
That Ted Lasso show is like the only thing people even have an Apple for.
Well, it's kind of like the old, when The Mandalorian came out, where people were saying, "Oh yeah, downloaded my Disney Plus for the week. Now I'm done."
See, I like Disney because old Disney movies are great.
Yeah, I know.
Love old Disney movies, and you can rewatch Disney movies to death.
Yeah. Dude, we went off a rabbit hole on this one for sure. So brass tacks on this. Yeah, we don't know fully yet. I mean, this is still very much up in the air with this whole Project Spartacus. There's various tiers that they're talking about that would rival Game Pass. Let us know what you think about this. I personally don't know if it's going to be worth the money at this point. I would have to see a list. I really need to see what games am I getting out of it. Am I going to have the ability to play $300 and $400 PS1 and PS2 games? If so, then yeah, it's probably worth it in that regard.
Like, are people dying to play Rule of Rose? No.
No.
Would it make this service worth it? Still no.
Still no, but the fact that you could play it if you really wanted to,
it would be cool for 10, 20 people.
Yeah, there you go. Or if it like 1,000 and bought it, or 10,000, whatever that number is. All right. So I don't know. I guess you can jump into the inflation deflation here. Give us all the details, because my mouse is like so far away, I can't get to it.
This week we have Discworld. Discworld is based off of the Terry Pratchett novels. I am very much into fantasy. You know, you've definitely heard us talk all kinds of Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff, but I am not a reader. John has a bunch of horror books behind him, but he says he's not really much of a fantasy reader either.
I read some Witcher.
But neither of us have any familiarity with the Discworld series. But this is a point-and-click adventure game. We played it on the PS1. It came out for some other systems too. It was developed by Perfect 10 Productions, published by Psygnosis, directed by Greg Barnett, released in 1995. It is a point-and-click adventure title, and it has very good reviews. This game has like an 8+. People dig it. They worked very much with the creator of the books and the worlds to build this game as not a straight adaptation of one title, but kind of an amalgamation of some of his works. He had released another game, I think it was based off of The Color of Magic, it said. And it was good, but it just didn't have like the dollars behind it advertising wise to really get out and be a runaway success. So there was a hesitation to work together and get this project out, but it's voiced by very prominent comedians. Even in the Japanese version, it has very prominent comedians and had a good reception over there. It's a very interesting take on a fantasy world, very slapstick comedy, very much Monty Python kind of humor if you're into that kind of like dry wit and, you know, a little bit of gags here and there. It's great stuff. I think that we only played for like, you know, half hour or so, but I mean, there was some laughs in there and the animation looked great. This was a really decent experience, and it sucks that this is like not a game many people are really going to have exposure to. It didn't do great over here. It did really good in Europe, though.
This is a game that 100% deserves some sort of like remaster, by the way. And I was laughing so hard, dude, when the mugging scene in the very beginning, because that was just like, it's the full, like, when you think Monty Python and you think, you know, this type of comedy, that mugging scene was 100% what that is all about. And so it's like, you know, oh, put your hands up. He's like, why am I putting my hands up? Well, this is traditionally how, you know, you as a victim and me as a mugger, I would appreciate to go through this process, and you put your hands up. And so you put somebody's like, no, that wasn't very bad, was it, to put your hands up? And they're just going through that whole thing. And the Grim Reaper, where he's like, see you later, you know, like, you know, because you're about to die.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, you didn't catch that? So as he was talking to Grim Reaper and he bumped into him, he's like, all right, I'll see you soon. And he walks off, and then he ends up, you know, dying afterwards because of that dragon. But I also laughed at the dragon where it's a shape, and you look in the distance. He's like, that's a shape. It must be part of a plot point, but it's not a very good description as to what the shape is. So I love it. I love this humor. It's, you know, I told you about Blazing Dragons, how I played that one, and it was very much the same type of humor. I played this one.
Great.
Voice acting's fantastic in this. I played this a little bit in the past and enjoyed my time with it. I didn't catch it like in the beginning parts like this. I actually caught it midway through and was playing with Justin for a while. So I absolutely loved what I played with him back then. And I saved it, obviously, the data. Like, I want to play this through. This is a good one. And I'm actually going to let it sit downstairs. So that way, when I'm done with...
To bug you?
Yeah, when I'm done with... Yeah, exactly. So when I'm done with Arceus, I can jump into Majora's Mask, or not Majora's Mask, but Ocarina of Time, beat that. Hopefully beat Ocarina of Time before I get a PS5 as well. It's going to be brutal, dude, the next few weeks. I'm going to try to beat Arceus by tomorrow night and then start the other two.
Dude, I bet you could do it.
Yeah, I got to figure this out.
Ocarina of Time's not a long game either.
No, I know.
It's just a matter of getting through it. Like, I've tried to play that game several times, and it's hard for me to get through it.
But I guess back on this one, dude, I love it. I mean, the music is great in the back end. The comedy is fantastic. The visuals for like an early on PS1 game, which is in the long box style, long cardboard box style. Actually, it's not even the jewel case version of it. You know, plus just the ability to interact with all of the different elements.
We did use a guide to kind of shortcut our way through, but I mean, traditionally, that if you're not familiar or haven't played point and clicks, they're not like super popular today. But I mean, half the fun is just seeing what the hell the narrator is going to say about every little object on screen. So it's like you could put a ton of time into exploring, and this world definitely with its like comedy and, you know, adventure magic foundation, there's like a lot of really interesting things. Like the first thing you need to do is like get your luggage off of the top of the dresser, and it's like it's not as simple as just like getting a stool or being a wizard and using a spell. It's like, okay, well, we got to make our way all the way downstairs, go to the broom closet, get the broom. And it's like, oh, a witch's transporting device. That's unusual.
No, he's like, it must be an original model.
Yeah, it must be an older model. And it's like, goes upstairs and just like pokes the luggage with it. It's like you never know what key unlocks what lock in those games, and it's always fun to see. So
well, and he called when you open a door, and I checked the description on it. It's like it's a portalis exitus, and he's like otherwise known as a common door.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good stuff, dude. And yeah, I mean, we used the guide obviously to kind of during the 30 minutes to be able to get through as much story as possible and interact as much as we could. But you probably caught me like interacting with every possible thing I could anyways. Because so as Ryan was reading through and like, okay, hey, you're going to go down the stairs and do this. I was actively playing and just interacting with everything I could along the way. And it's just so much fun. It's such a great game. And I couldn't recommend it enough, man. Like this type of game.
I think... Well, here, let's talk brass tacks.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to talk a little bit more because there are some significant differences. So as far as this version, we played the PlayStation version, complete in box, $72.19. That's peaked now in March 2022. That's trending up. Loose, $53.42. Also peaked now, March 2022, trending up. Now, there are many different versions of this game. And they're kind of wildly different priced. And not all of them have the voice acting. Only the CD versions are going to have voice acting. So that's an important distinction to make. You know, I think that if this was just a text-based game, I mean, that's the origins of point and click. You'd still probably have a really good time, but I think the audio really sells it. And I think it's important to look at, you know, those types of versions. So, you know, the most expensive version that you could buy is the PAL PS1. That's at $76.96. I'm guessing it's just a little bit higher because they probably have some more demand. It's more nostalgic over there. And then the cheapest version is going to be loose, $8.13 on the Japanese Sega Saturn.
Which, of course, speaks to the fact that, you know, anybody outside Japan or doesn't understand Japanese is going to have a tough time unless there's subtitles. And at that point, is it as fun as just getting the English version?
Yeah. So there's also a sequel, Discworld 2, which John wants to buy.
Yeah.
He was talking about. So maybe we will revisit this series sometime and again in the future. But, you know, overall, we're in a bubble. Yep. You know, we talk about this all the time. Like, game prices are not always worth what they cost. I think that this is a really good game. And I think what John said earlier, remaster this game. Remaster this game so that we can see a cheaper entry point into this.
And this game historically has been fairly well priced, actually. I think it's been, I don't know if you have the history on there through that price.
Yeah, it was not, before everything blew up a couple years ago.
It's been in the 50s plus for a long time, I feel. At least a few years. So,
complete in box, it broke 50 in like 2021. I mean, it was in the 30s for most of the last... Since like 2015, it spiked there.
So let's just say, yeah, I mean, over the course of 5 years, it's been around that $30, $35 price range over time. And yeah, I mean, we have this bubble and things have spiked up, of course, you know, based on high demand. But I think even so, like, you know, yes, I think it needs to be remastered, cheaper point of entry. Do I think it's not worth this? I would say, honestly, $72 complete in box with the larger cardboard long box style for PS1. If you've got the book, all of that really cool stuff that comes with it. The fact that it's not exactly a common game. It's a night, like the artwork on this box is fantastic and the gameplay is good too. I think, you know, if you're looking at it from a collector standpoint, $72 is still, I think, very much a good point of entry for a game like this, based on, I would say, the obscurity component of it. So I would say it's just right as of right now, based on the bubble that we're in with all of these games. And we say bubble assuming it'll pop, you know, and games will go back down to a normal rate, but who knows at this point. And even back then, if you bought it at like $35, $40, I would actually say at that point it was deflated. At that point, I would say it was worth more money. So I'm going to say, based on today's trends, this game is just right. You should totally pick it up. You should totally play it, and you'll have a good time with it.
I'm saying inflated.
You're saying inflated.
I think this is too expensive. As much as I like point and click stuff. I mean, there's, I don't know. I just would never pay that much for this. I think it's too much. I get what you're saying. I think 35 I would have agreed 35 would have been maybe a just right for this. So that's where we're at today.
And here's the thing. Let me actually look up how long it is to beat this one. So this game is about 11 to 13 hours.
I mean, that's probably playing it, not following a guide.
Yes. And so, well, I mean, yeah, most times you're going to be playing it with it anyways. So,
because if you just most point and clicks are like pretty quick if you know all the puzzles.
I'm just going to say the hear me out component here for this at $72. If you consider current generation games that are coming out new at $60 and $70, and some of them have stories as short as like 8 to 10 hours, depending on what you're buying, like a Call of Duty or something along those lines. If you like to play both of these types of genres and the new Call of Duty's coming out, buy this instead. Like that's what I would.
Yeah, but you're not going to. Nobody buys Call of Duty to play the 8-hour campaign and then not play hundreds of hours of the online component.
But there's so many online multiplayers that exist today for first-person shooters, including different Call of Duty games. Like, do you have to play the newest Call of Duty game hundreds of hours, or could you get away with playing another Call of Duty that's been released, I don't know, multiple times in the last year? So I would say if you're out there and you're looking at that nice shiny new game that's going to be $35 in the span of 4 months, put your money towards this and then wait 4 months and then buy the other game.
Okay, invest
basically.
John's saying that this game is going up and it's going to keep going up, so buy now.
Basically what I think is just right. Now, if this hits $100, I'm going to be like, nah, dude.
John, we need to get you like one of those desks with like buzzer sounds.
Like Mad Money?
Yeah.
Yeah, just Mad Money. Buy now, Discworld. Yeah.
Discworld, buy.
Dude, we were talking about getting one of those, actually. So, all right. So we'll put just inflated is what our rating will be. Just inflated. And yeah, I had a great time. So I'm going to play through this at some point and I'll talk about it more down the road in the podcast.
All right. I'll be in the lands between until next time we meet.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear more about this game. So you'll have to give us an update next week. So that all being said, next week, we don't know what we're talking about topic-wise, but I do know that we are going to be playing some pro wrestling on the NES.
You got it, brother.
I'm going to kick your ass. It's going to be so great. So all of that wrestling I've been watching, just wait, Brian. It's going to pay off in video game form. But that all being said as well, this has been episode 172 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.